Hello there, this is Kate Kunkel, the Harp Lady at theharplady.ca. And the question of the day, how do I find a harp teacher? How do I choose a harp teacher? I guess that's two questions, doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm here today to help you out with that a little bit because it is a question that, especially if you're not in an area with a lot of harp teachers, it's good to think of these things before you start a relationship, because having a teacher is like having a relationship, just like with a personal trainer or a coach of some kind. So how do you choose your harp teacher? Firstly, location is going to have a lot to do with it because we are not as plentiful as teachers of many other instruments. So you may only have one teacher in your area. And that's fine. That's your teacher. Unless you decide to come online and look out here. There are many of us out here as well. But before you make that decision, meet the person who's in your area. Talk to him or her and find out what their style is. Do they teach pedal or folk harp or both? Are they pretty stuck on conservatory method, or do they like to branch out? What kind of music do they like to play? Because that will have an effect on how they teach you. Not good or bad, just it will be different than perhaps your goals are. So, number one, figure out what are your goals for this harping. Are you going to perform? Would you like to do therapy for others? Would you like to play in hospice? Do you just want it for your own heart? You know, many of us have goals. I had a student just start. Her goal is to play in service. She's Christian and she wants to play for service. So that's her goal. And so we design her curriculum around that. And the way we go forward with pieces is with that in mind. Others want to do therapy, so we do a little bit more improvisation. So those are the things you have to think about when you start. I know at first it's just like, I just want to play the harp. But when you choose a teacher, especially if it's someone that you're going to be going long term with, those are the goal itself is something to think about. Then what kind of harp do you like? Do you like a folk harp? Do you want to play pedal harp? Do you have the vision of playing pedal harp? It's a little bit different technique, you know, to go into the pedal harp. And of course you have to start with the basics on any harp, but still, is that your goal? Do you want to have that tension? I mean, we talked about that in an earlier video, how to choose a harp, and that is the same thing. What is the ultimate goal? And then you can choose even the harp and then your harp teacher. Or maybe vice versa. It may be that you start with your teacher, with a teacher, rent a harp and go from there. But still, a goal is a very important thing to have in mind. The other thing is, how well do you read music? Do you read music? Some teachers are really good at teaching to read music, others not so much. Others are very focused on technique, and that's a good thing because we need that technique. But if you haven't read music before, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult, so you want to have someone who can help you with that. This is where online, it's a little more difficult to have a teacher online to teach you to read music. It seems to be something that works a little better interactively, but there are many places where you can learn to read music in person. You know, a piano teacher can help you with that if you're not able to get to a harp teacher live. The other question, how disciplined are you? And that will relate to how often you have your lessons. Some of us can't get to a teacher every week. It's really hard, especially adults, as many of you watching this most likely are. As an adult, you have a busy life. Can you get to a lesson every week? Maybe, maybe not. In that case, you need to have a teacher who's flexible enough to work with you, perhaps twice a month or every 2 weeks, whatever your schedule will permit, and a way for you to progress without getting into problems, because sometimes when we're away from our teachers we can develop bad habits, so you don't want to do that. The other thing is, how disciplined are you with respect to practice? And that will relate to how often you have lessons and whether your teacher is live or online. Discipline is an important thing. Obviously, as a teacher, I want you to be disciplined. I want you to take the time to practice. The rule of thumb that I set for my students is, if you have an hour lesson every week, then you should practice an hour every day. If you have half-hour lesson, especially mostly kids, they have half-hour lessons because it's a little harder to stay focused for much longer than that, then practice half an hour a day. It doesn't all have to be in one chunk, but try to get that much time in every day. So those are the little tips that I'd offer for you to choose a teacher when you go to talk to him or her or online. Talk about those issues. Talk about the ultimate goal, how much time you have, how much money you have, because it is a factor. How much time, how much money, and how much music you know to begin with. And I think that should just about do it. I'm happy to answer any questions. Please write to me at kate@theharplady.ca or talk to me on Facebook. I have a Facebook page there, Kate Kunkel, the harpist. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.